For months I'd felt an undercurrent of wrongness, but I buried it beneath habit and routine. Clara had grown remote, her laughter thinner than before, her sentences clipped, as if she were hiding something behind a practiced facade. Our home, once lively with conversation and shared plans, had faded into a space of muted habits and unspoken tension. Then, on a rainy night, she finally said the words I had feared, "I'll go when it feels right." I can still see it clearly. We were seated in the narrow dining corner of our downtown place, the warm glow of the lamp softening the rough grain of the table. Outside, the rain blurred the city's noise into a dull murmur. Her announcement settled in the air between us, dense and intentional. It wasn't a threat. It was a decision she had already made. She had been preparing for this moment, waiting for it, while I pretended nothing was wrong. Instead of exploding or begging her to stay, I leaned back and watched her closely. There was a slight stiffness in her hands, a wavering in her eyes. She expected me to react, maybe to break. But I had spent months learning the value of steady composure, and now I used it like a finely honed tool. I let silence spread, letting it press against her. Clara fidgeted. You're not going to respond." The tremor in her voice betrayed the fear she tried to hide. That was what I'd been waiting for. The moment her confidence cracked. I picked up my glass of water, moving slowly, letting every action feel intentional. "I hear you," I said at last, my voice steady. "You'll leave when the moment feels right. But there's something you need to understand first." A mix of uncertainty and apprehension crossed her face. "And what's that?" she whispered. I leaned back a little more, letting the tension deepen. "When that time comes," I said, "don't assume I'll be blindsided. I'll be ready. And you should be too." The quiet that followed was dense enough to feel. Her carefully tended assurance, the armor she'd been building for weeks, began to fracture. She had believed she was setting the pace, controlling the script. Now she realized the dynamic had shifted. She stared down at her untouched food, twirling the knife between her fingers. I could almost hear her thoughts scrambling, plans forming, collapsing, reforming, none of them restoring the sense of control she thought she had. I kept eating, unhurried, each slow bite marking a different kind of time. My calmness forced her to face the discomfort she had been avoiding. Finally, in a barely audible voice, she asked, You don't want me to go?" I held her gaze. "It's not about what I want," I said. "It's about what I'm willing to accept. Right now, I'll accept the truth." Her eyes widened. The authority she believed she carried was slipping away. I let her feel the shift. "You've chosen your moment," I said, still calm. "That's fine. But understand this. I've seen this coming. I've paid attention. And when it happens, I won't be shaken. You won't see me break." The room seemed to close in around her. Clara opened her mouth, then shut it again, as if grasping for footing in a situation she no longer controlled. I didn't expect you to react like that," she murmured, her voice tinged with both apprehension and wonder. I offered a small, deliberate smile, not triumphant, but acknowledging the shift that had quietly taken place. That dinner passed without further argument, yet the balance of influence had clearly moved. She now recognized that I was no passive figure in the narrative she had been directing. In the days that followed, the change manifested subtly, but it was unmistakable. Clara approached our interactions with caution, her movements deliberate, her words carefully measured. The playful energy she had once projected outward had diminished, tempered by a new recognition. Her usual manipulations no longer held sway. The equilibrium had shifted quietly, without threats or overt displays, simply through observation, restraint, and composure. I reflected on those nights and the power inherent in timing and calmness. So often, moments of tension provoke reactions, shouting, pleading, arguing, but silence, paired with deliberate response, carries a force far beyond such noise. A single, well-placed comment, free of theatrics, can unravel illusions more effectively than hours of debate. In that measured presence, Clara had no choice but to confront her own behavior. Eventually, she began to test the altered dynamic, offering small overtures, short conversations, polite smiles, tentative gestures of connection, but each was shadowed by caution. She was feeling out the reality, gauging the boundaries, and I allowed her the space to understand the truth. The rhythm of our interactions had transformed, not through coercion, but through steady presence and quiet authority. Finally, she admitted in a low voice, I didn't realize how serious you were about this. I acknowledged her words with a simple nod, without judgment. This was never about asserting control or seeking revenge. It was a demonstration of consequence and patience. She had assumed she held the reins, but had not anticipated my awareness and composure. By the week's end, the pretense that had hidden her intentions was nearly gone. Clara acted with deliberation, spoke with care, and approached our interactions with a respect that had been absent before. The dynamic had shifted, not violently, not dramatically, but quietly and irreversibly. In that stillness, I recognized a profound truth. The most powerful response is not confrontation, but calm presence, which reshapes the landscape and allows the other person to face the repercussions of their own choices.